Puan Rose, are you able to see the link in the chat box?
Yes, we can see your
See the chat, yeah?
warm-up Padlet.
Yeah,
The inside your Google Map already.
yeah. Can you see the
Padlet
the
now.
link for the Padlet in the chat box?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so fellow participants, I hope that you will try this out now. All right. So let's say, okay, I will do one as well so that you can also see. So let's say water color. So I just go and click water colors, Sagalik. Okay. And then I would get Jal Mahal, not Taj Mahal, but Jal Mahal. Okay, so you may want to encourage your students to read about Jal Mahal to gain some knowledge. All right, so over here maybe you say okay, constructed around 1699. So I would go back to the Padlet and then I would say Jal Mahal. Okay, image search Jal Mahal, and you have this. You have a beautiful picture of Jal Mahal. And then I'll type in constructed in 1699. Okay, so it will appear on the map. So if you are doing the other location, for example, colored sky, so maybe your clue can be colored sky, northern lights. All right, and you can see where you have them. So let's say, okay, you have this aurora. So you can have a look and say,
Sorry,
cannot see.
Paulina, maybe you can share your screen for the map. Yang sekarang ni you're sharing the PowerPoint slide, so it's not moving.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Let me just reshare that again. Aha. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so you should be able to see this Padlet. All right. So what you need to do is the clues are over here, location 1, location 2. Okay, so choose one location. So what you can do is, if you look at the keywords here, colored skies, northern lights, you can go and Google, okay, colored sky, northern lights, and then open, click open, and you have information about aurora. So you can lead a little bit, all right, so and see what you think is interesting. So maybe you want to say natural light display in earth sky. Okay, then you go back to this one here, and then click the Padlet, put there aurora, northern lights. Okay. Oh, sorry. Northern lights. Okay. All right. And then you go to the link in the middle. You share the image and you get one of these. So you click any one of the pictures. Okay. And then type a phrase at the bottom. natural lights in the sky. Anything that you feel is interesting. So if you want to type rays, spirals, natural light display, type whatever you feel is interesting to share. And then once you have shared it, click publish. Okay. So if your students take part, you will be able to see the world map. Yeah. So you have one student here, you have another student who click Northern Lights here. Oh, this is, sorry, not Northern Lights, eh? This is not Northern Lights. This is the one here. So you have Padlet here. So let me just delete this. Okay. Then you have another one here in India, right? Jal Mahal here. Okay, so if your students are actively involved, you would get all the little dots. So you will have a display of where you can see northern lights, the aurora lights in the world. So your students may actually show you the one in Norway, in Sweden, even in New Zealand. So it's one way of encouraging students to use the apps, but at the same time, you are encouraging them to Google search for information, read information about the particular location, understand what they have read, identify significant information, and then share the picture. And it becomes general knowledge for them as well. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to, I'm just going to go back to my slides. If you had done it, you would have discovered that the location for the water palace is actually the Jal Mahal, and the location for the frozen experience is actually the Aurora Northern Lights. And these are some of the locations where you can find it. So this can be a start to your class, especially if you have tourism students, for example. You can get them to identify places in Malaysia, or if you want to expose them to famous landmarks in the world, you can use this as well. You can also use this for agama classes, for example, untuk masjid-masjid di dunia, for example, if you want to highlight it untuk kelas agama, you can do that as well. So identify locations of masjid-masjid dunia with specific architecture. Yeah. Lecturers who are teaching architecture, seni bina, you can also use this activity for your introduction as your set induction to identify keywords. You can give them keywords of seni bina, ciri-ciri seni bina of specific location, and then get them to identify the locations in the world. Pun boleh. So I feel that this is a very interesting game that you can play with the students as a set induction for your lessons. Okay, so what would you consider as student engagement? All right, students need to be involved, they need to be curious, interested in your lesson, and they need to have a little bit of to a degree of attention that they need to give you, and they must have passion and optimism in doing the activities. So what is it actually? It is actually motivation, self motivation to learn the language or to learn the subject that is being presented to you. And students are also engaged in their own understanding, where they discover, right, in your activity or through your activity. And students also persist, and they are determined to go through challenges in order to solve the problem that you have given them, or to carry out the activities that you have given them. And through these activities, for students to be engaged, they need to be able to make connections to other students, and also to be able to link to prior knowledge and also real world knowledge. Okay, so you may ask yourself, the next time you enter your class, ask yourself, what kind of level of student engagement are we looking at in the classroom? So in the Polytechnic, maybe we are looking at 1, 2, 3, possibly looking at 1, 2, 3. All right, so what do we mean by authentic engagement? It's when students are totally interested. They are interested in the topic area that we give them. So if you give them something meaningful, something relevant, something interesting, they will be invested in the activity. Then they will show authentic interest in the task that we give them. Ritual compliance is when you have students who just aim to get good grades in marks. So they take part so that they can get good grades in class, so that they learn something to score in their assignment, for example. Passive compliance are students who are just being involved so that they just get by. Cukup-cukup nyawa-nyawa ikan saja, janji lulus, that kind of mentality. So when they do our activities, they are not so active, but they are involved. Retreatism is when students don't really get involved, and you can see that some of your students are maybe playing with handphones and not really listening to you, or they are just like parasites in the group. When other group members are actively involved, these students may not be so active. They're just sitting there looking at other people. So these are the students probably in the fourth category. In the polytechnics, I think we don't see category 5, but in secondary school students, we do see that. Yeah, I've taught in secondary schools for 8 years, and I have seen students who just refuse to get involved. They are the disruptive ones, and they will just do whatever they want to do. So that is a bit tricky to tackle them in the classroom. So how can we get involved, or what can we do to ensure that students are more involved in our classroom activities? First of all, there must be a shift in our thinking. Yeah, we have to change our mindset a little bit in the way we do things, and not just be complacent or not be comfortable in what we do every day. So when we talk about shifting, we look into the previous strategies of teaching in the classroom, where you have a lot of chalk and talk. But be very careful. We may still be doing chalk and talk, but in a different way, as in flashing and talking. Yeah. So lecturers may spend so much time in creating materials for the PowerPoint that all they do is, in class, you just flash your PowerPoint and you go through your PowerPoint, which is actually for me the same concept as chalk and talk. It's just that you're using technology. All right. So we do need to get students involved. Now, what we want to do is look at other alternatives of making your classroom active instead of just doing group discussions. So, what is it that we can look at in this 21st century classroom? What characteristics are we looking at? One of them is definitely technology. Yeah, we look into what Dr. Shin shared earlier about using Flipped Classroom, about using Padlet, yeah, Google Classroom, the different apps that you have. So definitely we can use them. Yeah, if you can even use TikTok for teaching and learning purposes. You need to make sure that your classroom is student centered, or your activities are student centered, and it is not merely us presenting our PowerPoint. So that needs a little bit more work on our part to encourage students to communicate through classroom activities, but be very careful that you don't just merely give them a topic and they do group discussion or pair discussion for all your classes. You can have group discussion for certain classes, but you need to look into other options as well. Collaborative work is very important when you're talking about 21st century classroom. How can they collaborate the different skills to carry out the task that you want them to do, and also to create questions or tasks that will encourage higher order thinking skills and not merely memorizing. So what do we, teachers of this 21st century, need to be alert about? We need to be relevant, okay? We need to be able to socialize with the students. We need to be forward thinking, to be able to plan well for our lessons. We need to be open minded and not think that, oh, TikTok is just for playing games, it's all about dancing. No, there are other functions of TikTok. You can teach through TikTok as well. So you need to be open minded to these different strategies. Okay, we need to have this concept of lifelong learner. We are always moving forward with technology, and we need to learn new strategies, right? And flipped classroom is one of them. So therefore, whether we like it or not, we may have to look into the alternatives of using flipped classroom and how we can use that in enhancing language, in enhancing our classes and getting students to be more engaged in our classrooms through the different activities. And of course, student centered is always ranked on top, even before OBE. And our students need to be actively engaged, not just merely writing in groups. Yeah, there need to be group discussions. And as I said earlier, collaborative learning that will encourage soft skills, yeah, responsibility, teamwork, solving problems, and thinking critically. So in the traditional classrooms, normally we just come into the classroom, we teach them whatever we want to teach them, and then we assign them work in the classroom, exercises for reinforcement, or we keep them occupied in classroom and give them a lot of homework. In these modern days, we can actually turn the classroom the other way around, get students to be more responsible in their learning, therefore assign them some reading at home. Yeah, it can either be a reading text that you assign them to, it can be a Google link that you share with them for them to go and look for certain information, or you can give them a link, a video link for them to actually watch an input session, a teaching session, but through video link. Therefore, that saves us a lot of time in teaching them in the classroom. And we've used the classroom time to focus on reinforcement and checking understanding through the different activities. And don't forget that when you carry out your activities, you have to consider the different learning styles. Yeah. Consider students who are visual and they need to have pictures, videos, yeah, graphs, PowerPoint to help them understand better. But also auditory students whereby you need visuals, you need to explain to them also. And sometimes kinesthetic students are left out. We focus so much on PowerPoint and our speeches and our talks that we forget about these students who are kinesthetic. Yeah, so you can actually do activities to get them to move around, to be hands on, to be involved in activities so that they pick up the lessons faster. And especially for afternoon classes, I feel that getting them to move around is one way to make sure that they stay awake in our classrooms. So how can Flipped Classroom help the teaching learning process? The videos can help us to provide information. It saves a lot of time. Like Dr. Shin said earlier, students can learn at their own pace. They can watch the video again and again and again, and they come into class a little bit more prepared. Some may ask, but students may not understand. True. So when you prepare the materials for them to read, make sure it is appropriate to their level. And do not give them something too difficult that when they watch the video or when they read, they still do not understand. So we do need to give them materials that are relevant or that are suitable to their levels. So they can actually read at home before they come to your classes. And if they have read it in class at home, that will give us more time to actually do these activities for reinforcement in the classroom. And during our activities, that will also enable students to have peer teaching. And then we, as the lecturers or facilitators, we can focus on the weaker students. So what can we do? Add variation in your teaching. Yeah. Think, Google and look for alternatives, how you can carry out different activities. Try them out in the classrooms. Yeah. Different classrooms may respond differently to your material. So try them out. Make the content relatable so that they see the need to do those activities. If you want, you can have reward in your classroom. Let the students be involved in making choices in the topics that they want to present or in the topic area that they want to research. Constantly check students' understanding through formative assessments. So formative assessments doesn't have to be a quiz or doesn't have to be a pop quiz. It can be through the activities that you give them, that you are able to see whether, my students are able to do them, therefore they understand what was taught. But you can also use Google Form, you can use Kahoot to check as a form of formative assessment. And you do want students to collaborate with each other, therefore give them a group work. And feel free to incorporate interactive teaching tools, yeah, in the classroom to make it relevant and up to date. Yeah. So let me share with you some of the activities that I've carried out in the classroom. So, for example, in terms of teaching, when it comes to languages, yeah, a lot of us tend to do comprehension in the classroom. So we give them articles and then we go through the articles with them. We look at meanings of words, and that actually takes up a lot of our time. And then we give them time to do comprehension. And then again, we check the exercises in class. That can take up to easily half an hour to 1 hour of the time. But we can flip it and make students read the articles at home and then ask them to check meanings of words they do not understand. So the main part of reading is done by the students at home. So when they come to class, we can do activities that checks on their understanding to check on whether they have actually read or not. So one way can be the Google form. Yeah. Another way, you can just pick random students and ask them about their understanding of the text that they have read. So maybe the first 2 times that you have tried this, you will notice that a few students may not have read it. But if you pick on these students, in the long run, the students may say, alamak, if I don't baca kan, cikgu panggil lagi. So give them that feeling that, look, if you don't read, I'm going to pick on you in the classroom. So once or twice, they may feel that, I say, asyik kena je panggil in class. So hopefully later on, it becomes a habit for them to actually read at home before they come to class. Same goes for technical subjects as well. Yeah. If you're going to teach arc welding, for example, or slump test for civil engineering, you can give students articles, you can give them video links for them to watch the explanation about arc welding, slump test, okay, or even tourism. And then when they come to class, give them activities. So let me share with you this one activity that I've done with my classrooms. So it so happens that we painted a black and white tree in our lab. So I love to use this tree because I feel that we can actually exploit what we have. When I did the reading with the students in the class, in at home, students come to class more prepared. So based on the reading text that I've given them earlier, I ask them questions and I tell them, okay, do you agree with the topic of the article? If you agree with the topic in the article that you have read, paste your opinion. I give them the sticky note. Yeah, I give each student a sticky note, and I'll tell them, okay, if you agree with the content that you have read, in the article that you have read at home, write your opinion on your sticky note and paste it on the white branch. Yeah, kalau setuju dengan artikel, tulis pandangan and tampal dekat kayu ataupun branch, what is branch in BM? Okay lah, branch in the white branch. But if they don't agree with the opinion, or if you don't agree with what happened in the article, they have to write their opinion and then paste it on the black branch. So at one glance, you will see, okay, students who agree, they are all on the white branches. Students who don't agree, they are all on the black branches. So that is one way that I make sure that every student is involved to check whether they have actually read the article. If they have read, they can actually write some opinion and spin on it, and then they paste it on the colored wall, yeah, on the black and white branch. But some of you may say, I don't have black and white branches, what can I do? Same concept, you can actually get this in the internet. You can put it on your slides, flash it or project it onto the whiteboard, and still use the same concept. Give them the sticky note, get them to write their opinion and stick it. So the ones on the left are all the ones that you agree, the ones on the right are all that you don't agree. But also you can manipulate this and also change a different approach. Advantages, disadvantages. So let's say if you are teaching arc welding. Oh, I keep going back to arc welding. All right, so let's say if you want to teach them arc welding, the advantages of using arc welding, get them to paste advantages on the left side of the tree, get them to paste the disadvantages or the problems that you may face on the right side, on the black branches. So this concept can be used for anything actually. For whatever topic that you want, you just have to be creative in linking the strategy to them. And the same concept can be used if you don't want to use the black and white tree. You can have this infographic and get students to either give them sticky notes and paste the advantages or the cost or the material, or you can, if you want to save paper, you can just give them the marker pen and students come to the whiteboard and actually write on the whiteboard. That can also be done. The other option is to use the traditional way, which is using the mahjong paper. Yeah. And then students will write on the mahjong paper, and I will tend to paste this mahjong paper on the walls around the classrooms, and they go around looking at what other people have written, and then they can comment on it. And I actually allow them to use a red pen to add information on the mind map that has been created by the other groups. So at a glance, you will see all the black marker pens are the original colors or the original information provided by the students. All the red marker pens are all the added information given by other students. Okay, so jigsaw reading is another thing that English language lecturers love to do, and I'm sure many of the English lecturers do jigsaw reading as well. So, for example, in semester 1 and semester 3 of our English diploma programs, we one of the assignments is for students to create an awareness poster of a current issue. So prior to doing that, I actually printed out several posters on different topics, for example, cyberbullying, green technology, stress, disasters, tsunami, and I get these posters and paste them around the classroom, and then I give them bingo questions. Yeah, so bingo questions are actually just little boxes, and then I put in specific questions related to those posters. So different students will get different questions, so they have to go around the rooms to read. So when I do these activities, I try and cater for the three learning styles. Yeah, when students move around, you cater for kinesthetic students. With the posters you have, you cater for the visual students, but at the same time, you will notice that the students will also discuss, and that will cater for the auditory students. Yeah, and at the end of the day, those posters that I've pasted and I've used as my materials are actually samples that I highlight to the students, because at the end, when they have to do their assignment, I will tell them, look, now you have to do an assignment. You are going to get into your groups. Now, the activity that you have done just now in reading the information from the posters, those are actually examples of posters that you have to create. So by doing that activity, I have indirectly actually shown them samples of posters that they can do for their assignment. So that is how I go about trying to make it relevant for them. They may not see it when they're doing the activity, but at the end of the activity, when I tell them about the assignment, then they will see, those are the posters, or those are the examples of posters. Okay, so students actually go around uh, and look at the posters when they are answering the questions, so they will get the exposure. So technical lecturers, they are the same thing. If you're teaching green technology, for example, or if you're teaching JPH, yeah, hospitality and tourism, you can display information on different culinary cuisines around the world that you're teaching the students. So you can paste information and ask them questions on the different types of cuisines. So that will get them moving around in the classroom and expose them to the different types of cuisines and ingredients maybe that are involved in the different types of cuisines. Okay, the third type of activities that I would like to share with you is vocabulary. Yeah, I noticed it's not just for English that we teach them vocabulary, but also for technical subjects, you have terminologies that you want to teach your students. Yeah, and I've seen certain question papers whereby you ask students for definition. What is the meaning of this one, or what do we mean by saying this particular word? So students sometimes have to give a definition. So this is one way of using vocabulary to teach, to highlight terminology or definition. You can share with them the concept of using a word cloud, right? So I don't know whether you have used word clouds before in your classrooms, but I'll show you how to use the word cloud in a while, okay? But for my classrooms, for example, this is how I use it with my students. I give my students a topic. So it can be, like I said, reinforcement, yeah, pollution, current issues, cyber bullying, sexual harassment, illegal racing. And I get them to read at home. So again, I'm doing flipped classroom here, yeah. I get them to read at home because I don't have time to read so many articles in the classroom. So I get them to read, different groups will read different issues. So when they come to class, I get them to do the word cloud, and they are supposed to identify about 20 to 30 words that are significant, important words from the article that are related to the topic. So they have to create something like this. But the topic is not put in the word cloud. Yeah. So when they do something like this, we can actually use this for us to actually teach in the classroom. So these are vocabulary that we highlight to students. So obviously the topic that the students, this particular group had to do is abuse. Yeah. And then another, this is another group that my students said, and the topic is pollution. This is another one. Obviously, if you see bulimia, diabetes, depression, yeah, it's obesity. Another topic is this one, games, video games, online game addiction. Okay, so these are words that my students created, not me, based on the reading that I've given them for homework. So they read at home, they come to class, they created this word cloud in their groups, and then they shared it in their WhatsApp group. And what I do as a spin-off of this is to actually get them to, in their groups, use the same words to create sentences. So not only have they read the article at home, when they come to class, the words, the vocabulary, they have to understand the words. So I give them time to discuss the meaning of the words in their groups. Yeah. So students who don't understand the meaning, their friends will be teaching them. So you have peer teaching. So once they have understood the meanings of the words, I will tell them, okay, your 5 minutes is up or your 10 minutes is up. Each one you will rotate and you are going to form sentences, yeah, about the topic. So if your topic is about child abuse, you have to use the words here, create a sentence related to child abuse. Same goes for obesity, online games, and pollution. So students understand the vocabulary and then they reinforce their understanding by creating sentences. And if you want writing at the end of them, you can give them mahjong paper and get the students to write the article about child abuse using the words as a group. Okay, so that's how I use them. So for culinary students, for example, you can use this as well. So for example, for French cuisine, you can give them these words and then ask them to guess as an introduction to the class as to what they would be learning, French cuisine. Or if you have taught them the different types of cuisines around the world, you can ask them to sit in groups and create this word cloud based on main ingredients that those particular cuisines normally use. Yeah. So maybe if you talk about Thai food, maybe you will have food, you will have things like mango, fish sauce, lemon. Yeah, you will have those ingredients. So if you look at those things, you will know, this is the Thai cuisine, for example. So you can exploit the word cloud in your classroom. Same goes for architecture. If you're teaching seni bina, architecture, you can have characteristics of a particular architecture in your word cloud. Yeah, and you can check on students' understanding as well. So if they're doing Minangkabau architecture, for example, you can do this in BM, right? I'm not saying you have to do it in English. You can do it in BM. Boleh buat untuk dalam bahasa Melayu as well. Ya, so suruh pelajar masukkan ciri-ciri kepada seni bina yang tertentu yang telah diajar. Ya, so you use the whatever architecture that you have taught them, get them to identify the specific characteristics of Tudor houses, for example, kampung houses, Minangkabau houses, yeah, or Indonesian houses, Asian houses. And you can see whether the students understand or not just by looking at the keywords. The lecturers will be able to identify if the students have understood. So this is one way that you can use. So these are also things like I explained earlier. Yeah, I use them for students to speak, use it for ice breaking, use it for writing at the end of the lesson. So the students are fully active doing all these three in one lesson, just from the article that I asked them to read. So I don't read with them anymore in the classroom. I expect them to read and they will be able to discuss. So if they don't prepare, they will struggle when they are speaking or when they are writing. Yeah, and that is where their peers will be helping them. You can do like this, so the peers are actually guiding them. So hopefully that, in the next lesson, when you ask them to read, they will be more alert and they would read. Of course, when you have the rebellious ones, they would still not read, but you can pick on them as a form of punishment, to keep picking on them. Hopefully that, you will change their mindset that, look, you need to be prepared when you come to class, or I will pick on you to answer those questions. Yeah. Um, Another activity that you can use is word wall. I actually want to share with you how to use word it out cloud, the word cloud, but I'm looking at the time, I may not have the time. So let me just go through first. And if I have time at the end, I will share with you how you can use the word cloud. Yeah. This is another one that I love to use, word wall. Yeah. So in the word wall, you have different options. So when I have gotten my students to do the word cloud, I use it as ice breaking as well. In the first lesson, I get students to describe about themselves. So 20 words that they want to share with the students. So it can be skin color, hobbies, um, features that they have, whether they have a mole or a dimple, favorite food, and then they create the word cloud, and then I use it in the word wall so that you open one box at a time, and when the students read the information, they should be able to guess, oh, which classmate of mine does that description refer to. Yeah, so that's one activity that I use in the classroom that you may want to use with them. Or you may want to use this again, like I said, for culinary, for the different dishes, or when you're talking about tourism, students with tourism, you may want them to key in words about a certain location, keywords that you want to highlight about a specific location, and then get them to guess what place or which place are you talking about. All right. This is another one in the word wall also. When you have matching pairs, you can use this particular one when you're talking about synonyms, homophones, yeah, collective nouns, or even technical terminology. So if they understand the meaning of the words that you have taught them um, in your technical term, for example, theodolite, okay, then you can have an equipment that blah 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 blah. So you can do the write up, and then you can get them to play uh, offline or online or in the classroom by projecting the game on the board and play it as a class. Yeah, if you don't want them to play individually, you can play it as a class, project it onto the whiteboard, and then you play it together. So it's going to be a little bit noisy, but I consider that as constructive noise. Yeah, productive noise, right? So if you're going to use technical terminology, they have to match which picture or which theodolite matches the definition, or you put the word theodolite and upload a picture of a theodolite. So they will have to match, okay, the names of the different tools that you have taught them or the different machines. Okay, that is another one that you can use for technical people or technical lecturers. You can put pictures of different machines, pictures of different tools or equipments that you have in your workshop, and then the names of those equipment. Even culinary, yeah, if you're teaching them a spatula, what is a spatula, what is a wok, you can put pictures of wok, and then you have the word wok. So are they able to label this equipment in the kitchen? Yeah, this is the one that I'm saying, yeah, word wall. So there are many different types that you can use from here. Another one I love to use is the random wheel, whereby we use it to allow students to give opinions. So you can type the title and the students will just click and the wheel will spin. So whichever topic it stops, the students will have to talk about that. You can do that as a wrap up in your classroom. So at the end of the lesson, if you have finished teaching them, you can use that for formative assessment as well. So whatever you have taught them, put the key topics that you want the students to learn, put it in the spinning wheel, and then whoever gets those topics, they have to explain about that topic. So that is one way of checking formative assessment. Padlet. Okay, the fifth activity that I want to share with you is Padlet. Padlet is nothing new. Everybody has used Padlet before. I'm just sharing with you that other ways that I use my Padlet in terms of language teaching. It's not just about giving examples or writing sentences. We can easily use Padlet in a more creative manner. For example, let me share with you again, to save time for Flipped Classroom, we prepared in our department. We created each lecturer created a video, yeah, on a particular language element, and we do this online. Yeah, we have this link called our grammar clinic, and let me show you. This is one of the videos that we have created.
Malacca. Let's refresh, relearn, and revise together. Today, we are going to look at the imperative structure. Has anyone ever said to you, "Shh, keep quiet, finish your food," or "stop playing online games"? Well, that's the imperative form. They are used to give instructions in the imperative form.
Okay, so
This is
in the
because
video,
it is a command.
if they watch the video, they would have been taught about the imperative form. And even at the end of the video, yeah, if you see at the end of the video, we give them exercises as well for them to try out. So once they have watched the video, if they have watched the video and understood, when they come to class, I don't teach them yet the imperative. What I do is I ask them to do the Padlet activity. So what is in my Padlet activity? So I assume that they have watched the video on using imperatives or how to create imperative sentences. So I flash this for my students whereby each box has a different instruction. So for example, I share with them this one, yeah, take a picture of yourself jumping in mid-air. So they will have to actually take a picture, work with a friend, take a picture of them jumping in mid-air, tengah lompat gambar tengah bergantung, all right, in mid-air, and then they have to create a sentence whereby they use the imperative form. Yeah, for example, study hard, or jump for joy when you get good results. So they are able to use a picture that is relevant, which is fun for them, but at the same time able to create a sentence that is related to the picture and using the correct form of the language. So these are two examples that my students use. And because I did the class in my tech room, in the Polytechnic tech room, so some of them were very creative in using the green screen. So you can see this boy Aiman here. He used the imperative form, enjoyed the Blackpink concert, or you should be enjoying the Blackpink concert. Yeah. So another boy here, you have defend yourself with Kung Fu art. So they were having a little bit of fun fooling around creating, and I allowed them to go out of the classrooms. So some of them actually went out, still within the campus. I gave them about 20 minutes to 30 minutes for them to create this, and then they share it in Padlet. Yeah, so you can also use Padlet for for describing products and services. So we upload things like that. Yeah, so you can easily adapt this and use this for tools in your bingkil, in your workshop. Yeah, whether you're from culinary or from civil engineering, mechanical engineering, I think Padlet is a wonderful way of checking formative assessment. Okay, so again, for culinary students, you can check on their understanding, and indirectly you can compile as well. So let's say if you want to, you're talking about tourism students, yeah, you can tell them, okay, if you have a client who wants to book a holiday package for 3 days 2 nights in Malacca, okay, plan for them places that they can go to and places that they can go to enjoy their meals. Yeah, food trail. So you can look at food trail. You can also look at places for them to visit, but the students will have to plan for a 3-day 2-night kind of an activity. So they will upload and recommend the different places that those people can, or the visitors or the clients can visit. So this is one way they are applying whatever that they have learned, but at the same time you are seeing them planning a 3-day 2-night holiday for a potential client or a potential customer, and the language that they are able to use. So if you are using English, for example, if you're teaching JPH students, you can still apply this. So it doesn't have to be JPH students. Yeah, it can be English lecturers who are teaching culinary students or tourism students. You can still use this because students will be writing in English and you can check their grammar. But at the same time, they are applying based on their language, based on their core subject. Okay, the final activity that I want to share is the use of videos. I love to bully my students. Yeah, almost every week I will be harassing my students, asking them to record something, because I believe that recording yourself is one way of practicing your speaking skills. Yeah, so for example, in semester 3, we have products and services whereby students have to present in English on a particular product or a service related to their field. So prior to presenting that, I will get students to do a recording of themselves presenting, but do it at home. Then that is one form of practicing. And then they have to upload the YouTube. They have to upload this in YouTube, but under unlisted. I do not ask them to post it in public because I do not want them to be criticized or demoted by comments from the public. So I get them to upload in YouTube and put it under unlisted. However, students who are more confident and those with blogs and YouTube videos, YouTube channels, I allow them to upload in their own personal YouTube channel, which is open to public. For students who are weaker or who are shy or who are introvert, I will ask them to upload in YouTube, but put it under unlisted. So the students will practice speaking, yeah, in English. If you're talking about presenting products and services or pitching their products, yeah. But at the same time, I'm not just doing it for my particular assessment. This is not your assessment, yeah, just to inform you, this is not their assessment. The assessment is a presentation which they present upfront in class, but this is an activity that they have to do prior to their assessment. Now, once the assessment is over, I still harass my students almost every week, or at least every fortnight, every 2 weeks. My students are required to do just a 1-minute video, yeah. It can be a review of the food. If they go to the kedai mamak for dinner, they can review the food that they have, or they can talk about their feelings, or if they're jogging around the poly campus, they can record themselves jogging. As they're jogging, you're talking, it's like vlogging, video blogging, talking about themselves. So I encourage them to speak in English using 1-minute videos and then sharing the links in the class WhatsApp. So students share the link, not to embarrass them, but to actually encourage them to show what they have done. And I tell them to save these videos in their own channels. And I tell them, look at the first video you have presented, and then 10 videos later, look at your 10th video, and then go back and look at your first video that you have tried and see how have you improved in terms of speaking to videos, in terms of your body language, in terms of your language skills, in terms of your confidence. So those are the things that I use in the classroom with my students. So to wrap up, we're running out of time. So just to wrap up, what I would like to encourage lecturers from different fields, not just for English, but also from the various different fields, is for you to consider that, in the 21st century classroom, we have to step up and play a role as well, and not just expect students to do all the work, but lecturers, we have to play our role by planning the lesson. How can we make the lesson interactive, incorporating technology, incorporating collaborative work, incorporating student-centered activities to ensure impactful, effective lessons, and bearing in mind that you have students from visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learning styles, okay? And do incorporate technology in your teaching, whether you are using it or doing the activities using these different apps from the internet, okay? And finally, I do agree, have a go at Flipped Classroom. If you're not very comfortable, try out one lesson. I don't think they expect us to do every lesson, yeah. They don't expect us to do Flipped Classroom for every lesson, but try and start with one lesson. And if you feel it works, good job, continue with it. But if you feel that, you are discouraged because students do not read prior to coming to your class, please do not give up hope. Consider trying different ways of punishing them, or different ways of creating activities that will check on their understanding and push the students who have not read that, look, the next time you come to class, you need to be prepared, or I will pick on you to answer questions. Okay, so with that, I hope that whatever sharing that I've done can help you a little bit, yeah, or at least to give you some ideas on how you can use some of the things that I've shared with you to make more creative classrooms. With that, thank you so much for the opportunity, Puan Rose, and also JPPKK for this opportunity. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much. Terima kasih banyak-banyak, Puan Marina, for that sharing. I think, there's so many things that you've touched in your presentation, which is that's very, very useful. And I think we can all use that for our classroom in our next classes. We certainly should try some of the methods, kan, the methods itu flip classroom lah, and then you have all the different tools to get the students engaged, as you have mentioned. So we can see your passion there. You've tried so many things, and I'm sure your students love you for your classes, kan? Mesti dia orang rindu nanti. Tiba-tiba
I
dia
believe in
rindu
having
pula.
fun.
And I'm sure they have a lot of fun with you. Okay then. So thank you once again, Puan Marina, on behalf of BIPD, JPPKK, and the whole of the POLYCC community. I think we would like to thank you for that presentation. Thank you for accepting your to become a panelist in the first place lah, kan. We hope that you will join us again in the next webinars. Thank you very much. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the fifth session. The sixth session of this webinar. We have one more final session with Dr. Nana. I hope we will see you in the next session. What you can do is please go to our EDUTV at POLYCC YouTube channel, and then you will find the normal thumbnail. Just click on sesi 7. Okay, so I hope to see you there. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rose. Bye.